What's up, Chris?
What's going on, Jay? It's Friday.
It is
It is
Friday.
Friday, and I'm stoked to be here, and I'm stoked to be talking to you. And I'm really excited for what we've got to talk about today. So,
And more importantly, though, this is the Friday before Christmas.
yeah,
Let
I we'll talk about it.
settle in.
We'll talk about it a little bit later. But I learned that there's another like holiday name that I didn't know, or like shopping day. Did you know that it's Super Saturday? Yeah, Super Saturday is the last Saturday before Christmas.
I always thought Super Saturday was a Saturday after Thanksgiving. See,
See,
I worked at Sears as a kid, and they always had Super Saturday sale. And I could be very wrong there too, but
I mean,
yeah,
hey,
interesting.
I
Now, the
don't
Small
know.
Business Saturday is definitely the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Okay. Yeah. See, I
But
don't know part of,
yeah,
but I saw it was the same thing as Cyber 5 where I
yeah.
kept seeing it over and over in articles and I'm like, how have I never heard of this? Like, what have I been doing with my life? Um, but we'll talk a bit more about that later. Before we do, welcome everyone to On the Rocks, the e-commerce hour. This is the show where we talk about e-commerce and e-commerce adjacent information, specifically related to technology and tips to run your e-commerce business. I am Christino. He is Jay Kimmelman, and we're
Yeah,
your
I've
hosts
heard
of the
this too.
show. Yeah, I'm getting better at it.
Well, it doesn't
You tricked
help
me
that
since we do
we're on the other side on the
exactly. I know.
the practice playbook.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to mess us
Tripping me
up a
out.
little bit,
Y-
you know.
That's I
Yeah,
assumed it was just for that.
it really wasn't.
Last
It
week,
was the way the cameras popped into the screens and the overlays. But seriously,
la- last week on the Ecom Hour, we talked about AI technology. We highlighted a variety of products that can help you in client engagement, in marketing, and in a few other areas that we thought were important as well. This week, we're looking forward to the future in a different way. We'll summarize a few trends that we expect to see taking over or being mentioned a lot in 2025. Spoiler alert: there's more AI. So it's
really,
coming again. Yeah, I think we're
I
going to talk about that
never would
again.
have thought that.
Yeah, who could have imagined? But first, let's get to some e-commerce news, and we'll start with the tech stuff and even more AI. Jay, I read that Albertsons, and Albertsons is dear to my heart because I worked there when I was in college, uh, and and so every time I see an article about Albertsons, I'm like, oh yeah, I wonder what they're up to. Because here in the DFW area, they closed all their stores, and they like basically seem like they're going bankrupt. But in California and stuff, they're still like out and about. And in those areas, in those store areas, they are working with preferably, I think is the name of the company, to enhance online wine purchases. And now normally I would just like let this go because it's not really e-commerce, but actually that's not true because this is specifically associated with buying wine online. So using their interface. And what I and I think that this is actually very relevant to our conversation for later today because I think this type of thing is the thing that we're going to continue to see more of. And that's an integration of a very specific tool, preferably as a like a sommelier AI that helps you to choose wine that you like. And so I think we're going to continue to see things exactly like this in 2025 as customer experience and focusing on getting people to the right products for them so that their experience is better and so that they have more enjoyment with their purchase um, is is really important. And so to see Albertsons, this company that I have this like fond history with, being one of the first people that I've seen do this, and especially in the grocery store space, it was very bright. I was glad for that. Made my afternoon yesterday.
So, like you, I worked at Albertsons in my college years. Not
Yeah,
all that fond of it, but I did learn a lot about loss prevention strategies and how to deal with
yeah,
loss prevention.
I
So
bet.
that was good. Yes, it
Uh,
had a lot to do with getting your stress out because if somebody stole something, you got the. I'm just going to leave it there.
Tell you that's oh my gosh, that's really funny. I don't know if I put this later in the news, but there's a news item related to this, Jay. That exact thing. We'll talk about that more in just a second.
But I
Um,
did not think you were going to the personalization. I thought you were going to virtual reality and actually doing wine tasting online. You know,
Now that
wouldn't that be
uh,
cool?
I don't think that's 2025, but but it's but it's probably not that far off.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
that definitely would be cool. It was really interesting to read about. Preferably, it seems like a really neat product, and so I'm interested in seeing how other companies introduce
Yeah, for
similar
sure.
stuff going forward. Um, on in sadder A9 news, I guess. I don't know if this is sadder. I'm not really sure exactly how to describe it, but Cell did some research study, and they found that Samsung and Apple users are largely unimpressed with AI on their phones, and so um, I do think that that's a very clear indicator that the guys we're talking about plateauing AI are definitely not right, because there will come a time, and it's not that far in the future, where your AI on your phone is going to be like the toppest of notch. And in fact, I go bowling every week, and when I was at bowling, my one of my teammates, he just got a new iPhone with that has the Apple AI integrated, and uh, and he kept making pictures of people as um, uh, Pixar characters. So like he was having fun with the AI on his phone, and so I think it's my guess is that the reason that people are largely unimpressed is because they don't understand quite the functionality and all of the different things that the AI tools can allow them to do. And as that uh, continues to progress and we educate people more about exactly what AI can do to help you and make your life easier, um, I think you'll see those numbers tick down. It was pretty high, so I think it was something like 80% of both of those different phone users were unimpressed, and so I kind of don't expect that to be the case for a long time, but it is the case right now that there's still opportunity for improvement in the UI specifically, on your cell phone at least.
So I have last year's iPhone Pro Max, and
All
I
right.
just enabled Apple Intelligence,
Oh
and
yeah. Okay.
I can't make Pixar characters, so obviously there's things about it on my phone I do not know, and it's possible that the hardware is a little different and won't let you do that. But
That's
I'm fairly unimpressed with it. I'd still rather
yeah.
go to my ChatGPT app on my
Yeah.
phone and use that at the moment. So yeah,
And I think that that was actually another thing too that I was thinking about is like it does make sense that they're kind of like infancy stage AI things, right? They're the first generation, and so as they continue to get better, to teach better, to be more functional, right? I think that it will get better, but you're right. If other products that are already in the market space like ChatGPT and Claude and all of those others just continue
hmm,
to be the best options here, then maybe it will continue to be unimpressive because the best options just exist separately.
yeah.
But that'll be the thing to continue to watch. Another another thing, and this one actually I wasn't really sure how to feel about, Jay, and so I'm really interested in getting your thoughts on this. And again, this isn't necessarily an e-commerce related thing on its own, but I think it will have applications to e-commerce. So, Train, which if you're not familiar, Train is a big HVAC company. They create a bunch of the air conditioning units that people have in their homes to help them cool. Also on the commercial side, lots and lots and lots of Train products out there. Um, and they acquired an AI technology called BrainBox. Um, BrainBox does like commercial level, like how do we make sure your space is as cool as possible? So it's like a very specific, again, it's kind of like preferably, right, where it's a very specific AI to do a very specific thing. But it highlighted for me a potential like bad thing or a bad use of AI or a bad thing that could potentially happen with AI, and that's that like if you find these very specific technologies, you can like squirrel them and not and all of the things that we've talked about, right? Where so and so launches their bot and so launches this tool that like makes this thing better. A lot of the conversation that we've had around that is that when market competitors start to do that, it makes everybody better because everyone's going to upgrade and do the same type of thing. If you're the only person who can use this tool because you now are the owner of the like best tool in this market space, that makes that less of an option. And especially if those tools then become proprietary or patent protected or something like that, like where people cannot use the tool, like that defeats all of those things that we talked about of competitors getting better and better and better. And so, um, and so I totally understand why Train would do this. Like I'm not upset with Train about this, but at the same time, it made me like a little bit like, hmm, that's not a development I want to see. And so Jay, I was really excited, or I'm very interested in how you feel about this.
Well, it gives their competitors the option of building their own AI
I guess
around it.
that's
So
true.
it gives them the opportunity to either,
Sure.
find a competitor to Brainbox or build their own. But yeah,
Yeah.
ultimately, you're right. I mean, if one company goes and buys all the technology and then buries it, then nobody wins.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah.
So hopefully that doesn't happen in the HVAC space or anywhere else. But at least if you own a train, like that's maybe you got a good opportunity to in your commercial real estate space to see the advantages of that. So it's definitely a selling point, and like I said, I completely understand why Train would do it, but um, well, at least a little concerned about what the extra ramifications out of that are. And that was all the AI stuff. In other tech news, Amazon announced, I think it may have been this past week, but it may have been the week prior, they announced that they're going to integrate into QBO for sellers. Now, that doesn't happen until September of 2025, but it does allow for the direct integration of some Amazon information. And so I think that there's a lot of talk in the e-commerce space of exactly what that means and how that will happen uh, and and whether like it's really going to be all that effective because a lot of people integrate with a lot of other people, but some of those integrations are pretty trash, um, and other tools and support systems just end up being better. So I'll be interested in seeing what this ends up looking like and whether there's other information that comes out around this. Jay, what are your thoughts on this?
It could be game changer for some of these sellers that are out there. But
Right.
in the past, QBO has embedded a lot of other products into their system, and about a year later, they were divesting of it. So
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how this is going to play out, and if
Yeah.
it's a long-term play or not. So we shall see.
Yeah, we will. One other note related to Amazon, technology related, there was a strange glitch where orders would be shipping out, but Amazon wasn't posting those payments to your dashboard. So make sure to take a look on your dashboards there to make sure that that's being captured properly, because it sounded like that was a pervasive problem for a couple days there. So just double check that you're not missing anything that you need to be following up on there. Amazon also introduced a vacation mode. I don't know if this is an introduction or if it's already been there, but I read an article that like as you head into Christmas holiday, hey, make sure to enable vacation mode for their Amazon sellers. So if you're not going to be responsive to customers or whatnot, like Amazon has this option to like let people know, hey, I'm gonna be out for right now, and so you're not going to get responses from me, or your product's going to ship later, that kind of deal. So I thought that was a fun wrinkle.
So it's good to let your
Um,
customers know what's going on. So that's a good thing.
yeah. Jay, I could not believe the timing of this next thing. Shopify, I guess they have upgraded, but they have upgraded now, which seems like maybe 2 months too late. Like, is that normal? Does Shopify normally wait till after the busy period and then gets better?
Well, I would think they're still probably, well, now they're finally coming out of their busy season. I don't know when this
Yeah,
update dropped. Was it like this
yeah.
week?
That's what it seems like. Maybe it is called the Winter 25 edition,
Right.
so it may be coming out in the early January or something like that. But
Yeah.
they called it the boring edition, which I thought was pretty funny. I don't know if that's what they always call their updates, um, but there are a variety of things that Shopify is integrating. Their cart loading times are getting better. their checkout buttons are getting faster. There's customization options around checkout and chat integrations and that kind of stuff. The point of sale product got a little bit of an update, and their flow product now like allows you to integrate more tasks. And so I think that maybe because none of those things are all that
Yeah.
splashy, that might be why it's called the boring update.
Yeah,
But
when I saw that, I'm like, oh, that's funny. There's no sexy update here. There's
yeah, right,
nothing to the user interface or the client experience that they're going to notice. Everything's
right,
behind the scenes. It's all things
right.
that matter. It's all things that you gotta have, but it's pretty boring.
Pretty boring, pretty
But
boring.
yeah,
But
essential.
yeah, but essential. So if you're obviously if you're platformed with Shopify, be aware that these things are changing, and especially if you're using those, if you want to customize some of those options around your chat integrations or your checkouts, or within Flow, know that you have those options now, and and or will soon, or whenever the actual thing goes live or whatever. Um, but but pretty boring update out of Shopify. And then finally, in the tech news, ShipStation, which I'd heard of, their logistics company that helps to provide shipping stuff, shipping support stuff, and Adobe Commerce are providing they're coming together to provide a shipping comparison tool to help you print labels and do all of that kind of stuff. And so these are those types of partnerships that I think that we'll continue to see also into 2025, where the big commerce platforms start to partner with people to give you more of a full suite of uh, of your system where you don't have to like utilize quite as many products or people, and you can get it all in one place. So I was excited to see that some big names were doing this partnering together, because that's gonna lead to some other stuff. Any tech news that you saw out there this week that I didn't capture?
The one thing that I thought that was interesting, and it's not really news, but uh, with Zero and their Zero Inventory Plus, it integrates with Shippo, not ShipStation. I have never
Hey.
heard of Shippo
Uh-huh.
unless it was in a Zero Inventory Plus conversation. And
Mm.
this week I saw it on the Today Show. So yeah, Shippo's making a
Oh,
splash here in the US. So yeah,
there you go.
let's hear about Shippo.
Well, welcome, Shippo. Be good. Thanks. Um, in the more broad e-commerce news, our friends at Amazon are having some problems. Let's call it that. Um, they they have some labor striking happening. These strikes, and Jay, we talked about this offline. These strikes are impacting their business in a like barely is kind of what it seems like. 7 facilities, and only about 10,000 people out of their 1.5 million people. So not really
Yeah,
that big of an impact.
they have
The Amazon has
1% of their workforce.
Yeah, and Amazon has claimed that it's not going to really impact anything, uh, and here's hoping that the strikers get what they want quickly, just so that they can get their Christmas bonuses or whatnot. Um, but never like to see labor strikes because that's a pretty good indicator that you're not getting what you want. And it sounds like Amazon really didn't even come to the table for some of the demands, which is you know never a good look. So hopefully Amazon can get that figured out. Um, they also had a very not good look up in Congress. The Senate Help Committee, I guess. I'm not sure what it stands for. I should have written that down. They issued a report regarding unsafe productivity standards, injury data manipulation, and things of that nature around safety. That came down on Amazon as well. So Amazon's dealing with some things right now. Not really a great week for uh, employee relations from the Amazon front. So no, why is that relevant? Mostly, you want to be aware of what that means for you, and that's how that 1% impacts your ability to ship. And then also, I think it's important to just kind of know these things broadly, because you want to be able to explain why you're using the Amazon platform if certain questions come to light. So be thoughtful of that as well. Um, any other thoughts Amazon's troubles this week.
Not really.
Yeah, be better,
Their
Amazon.
profits are
I think
still
that's kind
still
of it.
strong, so that's all that matters
Yeah,
for them.
yeah. Bezos is still really rich, so probably
Yep.
fine. Yeah. Some Proboloski research that came out this past week indicates that 50% of Gen Z customers plan to buy from Chinese retailers. So that's Shimu. It is also TikTok Shop, which we mentioned last week had about 130 million in sales over the Cyber 5. Why does this particular thing matter? Well, back in February, Temu actually launched a direct consumer platform. So if this, if you haven't already like explored what that could mean to you, it might be worth investigating whether that platform is one that you want to be included on. If 50% of Gen Z customers are touching it, like a lot of the kids out there are interacting with those companies. A lot of the article and language that I read around this is that like people still want to buy things for the holidays, but they want to spend less. And so they're looking to these Chinese retailers as an opportunity to be able to buy things a little more cheaply. So I mean that's not great for a lot of e-commerce brands. Like you don't want to just sell your product cheap just to sell your product. But if that's the right place for you, then it's definitely a market that you don't want to be missing out on.
Yeah, well, Sheen is definitely the low cost leader there because where can your daughter get 15 swimsuits and have them shipped from China all for under $12?
Yeah, no,
It's
it's
like
just
$50, but
wild. Yeah, even
it's
still though,
incredibly cheap.
incredibly.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's again, that's not the place for everybody. But if your product or a portion of your products fall into that category, people are definitely looking there, and it will only continue to grow, is my expectation. The National Foundation for Retail, so NFR, they've done some more projecting. They project that 69.5 million consumers are planning to shop both in store and online this Super Saturday. And so I mentioned Super Saturday at the top. The 60, that's just so big of a number. That's like
It is.
20% of America. That is a lot. And I don't know exactly where they get their numbers, but that is a bunch. And the same article or the same research study indicated that 157 million uh, Americans consumers like plan to shop more broadly over this next weekend, which is just that's tomorrow. That's half of America. That's a whole lot of shopping. Um, and so I'm probably going to be looking. So I guess maybe I'm part of that, just to see what kind of deals are left over. But whew, that's just a big number.
So what's the difference between in store and online and more broadly?
Okay, so that it took me a second to read this too, right? So when I read the article, I was like, well, that doesn't make sense. Those numbers don't match. But
Right.
what this article was saying is that 70 million people anticipate doing both. So they're both going to go to the store
Gotcha.
and
Gonna do
shop
both.
online.
Okay. Okay.
And then
Gotcha.
and then and
Completely
then there's a
gotcha.
full bucket
Okay.
full bucket of 160 million people that are shopping just at all, of which 70 million are going to do both. Like
Okay.
which is just like wild. It's still a
Because I'm
wild
thinking,
number.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I follow you now.
yeah. And then that 157 million, that's 15 million more than last year. So again, there's maybe the dip in consumers back at Cyber 5 is coming to Super Saturday here. Is maybe what the NRF is thinking or expecting or something like that. They also reported that 197 million U.S. shoppers shopped on Cyber 5 or through the Cyber 5 period, which again, that's like two-thirds of Americans. Like that number is just staggeringly large to me. Um, and then they also project, and this is just these numbers just are like mind-blowing numbers. They also project that holiday shopping and the holiday shopping, and this I can't remember if this was an NFR report or another one that was like that I read in a separate article, but they project that holiday shopping, so the shopping from the period from November 1st to December 31st, is going to be $980 billion. So that's $1 trillion in um, in just those 2 months. of commerce more broadly, with 131 billion of that being online from the period from November 1 to December 2nd, which is just also wild.
Yeah,
Those
thirteen
are really
percent.
really big numbers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's even going to be bigger than
here,
that
here.
too, Jay, because there's a whole month of because that number was live. That 131 is the live number, where the trillion is
Oh,
the
gotcha, gotcha,
estimated number
gotcha.
at the end.
That
So
is true.
it's so even
Yeah, I
so
thought it
even
was supposed to
20
be
or
closer to
25%.
15 to 16%. So
Yeah, yeah, it may even be
yeah,
a little bit higher than that. That wouldn't
yeah,
surprise me either.
not at
So
all.
anyway, that all that to say, obviously this is a big time of year for e-commerce. So know that you got one more weekend before we get to Christmas, and there's a lot of people that are intending to still do some kind of shopping. So keep your stuff up and running, and for a few more days at least. um, then the story that maybe you'll appreciate, Jay, or would have appreciated back before. I have no idea. I might have to go like find one of the stores that this is happening in, but Walmart is testing in-store body cameras for employees here, and it's actually here in Dallas. So here in the Dallas area is where they're launching this initiative, with the intention of that being focused on safety. And so Jay, actually, as I read the article, I was like, they're doing what? Like, what is happening here? But
Yep.
yeah, it was actually focused on exactly that. It sounds like customers in store are continuing to get more and more aggressive and more negative, and so they're actually arming these people with cameras so that for their own safety is what the article read. Now, whether that's like shenanigans or something else like that interpretable,
Yeah.
but at least that's what they've made the claim of. And so it was really funny for me, knowing that this was a news article that I was going to talk about later, to hear you talk about how much of a pain it was to deal with shoplifters before, because that's exactly who they're trying to protect people from,
Yeah.
which is just
Well,
wild that that's
don't
still
get
a
me
problem.
wrong. As a 19-year-old male, it wasn't very difficult for me. But had we weren't body cameras back then, somebody would have been in a lot of trouble. Just
Mm.
saying. It
Yeah,
would not be a good business practice. I'm just saying. But
yeah,
I do also want to reiterate, I have not been in a Walmart in a while, so I am not adding to that negativity or
yeah,
any of that.
yeah,
Although I do shop with Walmart online and partake in the 131 billion.
yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
I
So,
I just it is crazy in the stores these days,
yeah.
and actually, my niece was in the Walmart here earlier today, and she's like, I think I lost 5 years of my life in there today.
Oh my word.
It was pretty crazy from what she was talking about, but yeah,
Yeah. And so again, I don't know that there's much application to this around e-commerce except for that, like if store facing interactions continue to deteriorate, that's only going to continue to move people to the e-commerce space. So let's see what
yeah,
happens
most
with
definitely.
body cams or whatever. Kind of crazy. Just a couple of quick brief things. Prices are going up. USPS is adding a new live animal and perishable handling surcharge that if you have products that are in that space, you definitely want to be aware of. And then if you are shipping out overweight items, they're doubling the price of that item set too. So just know that those prices are changing. So be aware of that as you work to build out your shipping policies for 2025. And then also, if you work with PayPal, they're raising the merchant fee for their buy now pay later options. So I think that this is like an incentive based thing where they're looking to try to change the way that consumers are buying, or that people are using these products. So if you do use buy now pay later options through PayPal, know that that's going to get more expensive. Um, and then the final news item, and this is really interesting to conversations that we've had outside of this show this week, Jay. Between Amazon, 3PLs, and just other things in the market, there are currently, as of today, $9 billion worth of warehouse and distribution construction currently underway, which is just again a staggering number. $9 billion worth of like buildings being built just for warehousing and
That's
distribution
crazy.
support. So that's a
Yeah.
that's a big number. What that means is for e-commerce providers specifically, that means that there's likely going to be additional competition in this space. So that means that you may see some pricing pressure where you have the ability to be like, but what about these guys? So you may start to see some of that costing fall a little because you have more options in the marketplace. And certainly, as people are building out new warehouses, you may have the ability to, get to like uh, early bird specials or whatever. If you if you can get into those 3PL warehouses before they're full, that kind of thing, maybe you can find some value there. So do your research around this, right? Make sure that your partner is the partner that you want to work with, um, and uh, and just evaluate the different options that are out there. Make sure you're always looking. Jay, what news did I miss?
Oh, I have to edit in my 2 cents throughout the whole thing, so I don't know if we missed anything here that I'm aware of.
Perfect. And so that was the news. Um, Jay, today it's Fluffy Pumpkin.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, for real.
A
And
scary
then
pumpkin.
it is a kind of a scary looking pumpkin. And then sadly, the last the last Oktoberfest. I'm gonna pour one out for
Yeah.
Oktoberfests for 2024. Thanks, thanks for all you do. What what are you drinking today, Jay?
Unfortunately, I'm sticking to water this afternoon. I really was heading towards the liquor cabinet today,
Yeah,
but I was afraid I might, drift off. It's been a long week.
yep, I hear that.
Been a lot going on this week, and yeah, so just yeah. If there was a time, it would be this week. That
Right, heading into the
to fill up
holidays.
a glass there, but yeah, not today. So
Not today. Hey, that's all right. Water is good for you. So is coffee. So just keep on with
yeah,
it.
I was tempted
Um,
to do that too.
I believe it. I don't know exactly if this phrase exists, Jay, but I know it's not like if you're not cheating, you're not trying. I know it's not that one, but I'm sure there's a saying that's maybe similar. Like if you aren't advancing, you're just getting left behind. Maybe something
Yeah,
like that. And so we know as we talk here, right? 2025 is going to bring continued advancement in loads of areas, and we want to talk about some of those today. Because if you aren't aware or embracing technologies like the ones we're going to talk about and the things that are happening that we're going to talk about, you're going to be left behind. And so, 2025 e-commerce trends and how to stay ahead of the curve. That's what we're talking about today, and we're going to start that off with hyper personalization. And so, just like we just talked about with Albertsons, how relevant and preferably, um, you are going to continue to see um, personalized AI activity to allow customers to have just the most dynamic and individualized shopping experience that you can imagine. Um, we've talked already about how Facebook is implementing new strategies around this. We've talked about several different AI tools that are getting implemented in this space. Um, and so it's this type of strategy is just going to continue for a lot of different reasons. It's valuable for companies like Facebook to do that because they can charge a premium on being able to direct you or direct your direct customer, the people you really want to talk to, with exactly the type of ad that they might need to see or whatever it may be. Um, and you'll see things like personalized product recommendations, more individualized email campaigns, and then some of the stuff that we talked about last week, like dynamic pricing. Um, and so, Jay, when we think about like hyper personalization, and especially as it comes to like e-commerce entities and how it affects them, like what are some things that people should be watching out for, or what are some tips you'd want to drop on folks?
well, the thing that I would probably say is, you know, in this age of like the cookie, the ah, It's like the iOS cookie thing where,
Yeah.
Facebook ads aren't working as well anymore. They're coming in figuring out other ways of doing it and being able to personalize the technology so that they can target you and your likes and your wants and deliver that experience to you. So,
Right.
you might end up in your Facebook feed or your LinkedIn feed, see a targeted ad for something. You haven't even been on their site yet, but you're going to start seeing
Yeah.
it. And that's what's coming. And, it, you know, uh, you're going to see it. It's like, oh, wow, I knew I wanted that, but I didn't really know how much I wanted that. And then click, you're going to bounce through there and buy that product. And that's what's going to
Right.
happen. I mean, it's going to help increase that impulse buy as well.
Yeah, I think that's definitely true. And there are lots of tools that can help you with this too. We talked actually last week about Klaviyo, who is already kind of doing this in the email space. But I think you'll see some of those things that we just talked about, some of the boring updates from Shopify, being able to provide personalized product blocks to just get people started, right? So there are definitely things like this that are already in the market. And I think in 2025, you'll just continue to see those being utilized more and more.
Yeah, it's all those
Um,
unsexy updates that's going to bring sexy to the marketplace. I mean,
that's
honestly,
right. Like
yeah.
truly, like it is behind the scenes stuff that's really going to unleash some of that kind of thing, right? Where you don't see that change, and especially as a user of the platform, like a purchaser, like you may not even notice what's happening, but all of a sudden the Amazon recommendations for you are just really that much more spot on, like
Mm-hmm.
because of all those things that Jay was talking about before. The second trend that we're expecting to see continue, like this is not a new trend, but the advancement of AI and the related automation around what AI is allowing us to do is just going to continue. If you want to hear about how that impacts accountants and in the accounting space, listen to the practice playbook from earlier this week. In the AI or in the e-commerce space, just know that AI is streamlining processes, right? So those customer service chatbots that are allowing real time feedback, that's one way that can happen. You can also see that in inventory management and in your marketing, right? We've talked a lot about how everyone is introducing things to make your video production easier, your photo production easier. Like they're just tools everywhere that are allowing this process to become easier and easier and easier. And then that ease is what's going to facilitate those automations where you start to be able to just like layer in exactly what you want to do. Even things like ChatGPT, which you can use to craft personalized responses, like those types of things are just going to continue to get better as those AI tools are continuing to grow and continuing to get more data. Things like make.com, which we talked about last week, can really increase your workflow automation. So how things are intended to happen. It gives you this picture of how these things can happen, and then it allows you to make that happen more automatically and seamlessly. And so Jay, um, when you think about AI and automation in the e-commerce space specifically, like what should people be looking out for?
Yeah, there's a lot of things behind the scenes that AI and automation could do for you. And yeah, we talked about the chatbot. You could take a chatbot and basically you could take ChatGPT, make your own personal custom GPT, load
Right.
your policies in there, load in your correspondence so it gets your voice, and then train it, and then connect it to the chatbot where it could take the response, take the inquiry, generate a response, and send it back out almost in the same amount of time it takes for you to think and type it yourself. And it would be able to do that. Now, think about it. You can't man that chatbot 24/7, but AI certainly can. And then if it
Yeah.
doesn't, if it hits a hitch in somewhere, it'll, turn it over to an email and have you respond to it. But that's one of the functions. The other thing is, if you're using an inventory management system, use AI to help forecast your inventory needs, help know
Right.
what you're going to need so that you can then get the inventory ordered so you know you will have it in on time, and then talk to a professional like us to make sure you have the cash flow to support it. So that's another story. But
Yeah.
seriously, AI with your inventory, making sure you never run out, you have the products to sell. Use it to help you with your product mixes and things like that. So to know, are you pricing correctly? Are you bundling things that should be? Are you missing some things that should be bundled? Things like
Right.
that. And AI is going to help you with all of that.
Right. Yeah, and if you're hesitant to get into AI, or if you haven't already got into AI and automation, the easiest thing to do is find the thing that you do all the time and that you hate doing. So low impact but repetitive tasks, like maybe even order confirmations or updating of stock levels, like all of that kind of stuff. You can build automations around this that make those things easier for you, and take those tasks that are, again, relatively low impact, repeated all the time, and just get them off your plate altogether. And so
There you go.
you'll see continual improvement in that space too, around all kinds of different impacts of both automation and AI. The third trend, and we've talked about this a little bit, but this is not related to automation or AI or even technology at all, but the world more broadly, and that's that sustainability matters, and that's going to continue to be the case. And we've talked about that here on this show as well too, just kind of more in disguise, because you'll remember that North Face launched their recycled product campaign, where they're using they're rebuying old products and reselling them, and refurbishing them. And so you'll start to see more more areas where these eco-friendly practices are just going to become more commonplace, because there is a large portion of the market, and of course I don't have the numbers for it, but there's a large portion of the market where that truly matters. I think people are thinking a lot more about the long-term impacts of some of their purchases, than they ever have been, and so building out sustainable packaging, or something like offering carbon offsets at checkout, which is a wild thing to even think about. But definitely partnering with eco-friendly suppliers. Those are all things that you can do to start to highlight this for yourself. And interestingly, actually, the folks at Super Trellis, they actually, I mean, obviously they're obviously a green company, right? Like they they make trellises for plants, right? They're thinking about plants, um, and in their packaging, they change their packaging. They let you know at checkout, hey, we changed our packaging. It's going to come in a little bit less of a box. We're not going to send you the full package of instructions because we're trying to be eco-conscious. Instead, what we're going to do is we're going to give you one page only. It's going to have a QR code. You can scan that. You can learn all the things that you need to know about how to use our product. And stuff like that's just going to continue to be popular. And so if that's not something that you're thinking about with your product, particularly if it's something that people are going to come back and buy again and again, it is definitely something that you want to.
Yeah,
Jake,
that's making me think about an Amazon package we got 2 days ago.
all
It
right.
was a huge box full of craft paper, and it had something the size of my phone in it. It's like you had to have a smaller box to ship that.
Yeah.
Come on. But sustainability is actually really important today with the way our world is, and we want to make sure that we are around longer and we're leaving our world a better place for our children.
Right.
And so, if you are using some of these efforts in your company, let's say you have a manufacturing facility and you're using solar to generate your electricity, highlight that. Make
Yeah.
sure that your customers know what you're doing. Put it on your product pages. Have a spotlight. Put it somewhere on your checkout page. Just have it there invisible, and you will see it will generate benefits for you farther than the benefits you are generating for the economy or
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
for the world.
Right. For the
Yeah,
environment.
for the
Right.
environment. That was what I was looking for.
Yeah. Different E word.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. And those types of things will just continue to become more important and more important. especially as we hear more about some of the negative impacts of environmental change. Like it's going to become more and more important to not look like you're causing it. And so,
Definitely.
yeah, as you're doing things or taking actions to do that, I mean, Amazon does it right there on their boxes. Now, this package is eco-friendly, like it's right there on their stuff, whether it's the biggest box that they could have found or not. Like they still want you to know, and and they'll continue to do that because there are consumers that's important to, and it should be important to all of us. Um, the fourth trend is one that we alluded to before, and one that we talked about a lot last week, and that's augmented reality for shopping. So again, I think the best example of this is getting to see what something looks like in your space, or the like try on camera or whatever it is, right? Where you can see without having to go anywhere what this product is going to look like, where you wanted it, or on yourself, and something like that. This opportunity to be able to try before you buy. There, I don't think it can be. I don't think there's any question that this leads to better conversion and lower return rates. And both of those things are obviously really valuable. And so, um, so you want to be aware that this trend is going to continue and continue. And so if so you want to think through what that looks like for you, and what what kind of AR strategy you can have. Which again sounds like a very ridiculous thing to say, but yeah, there's no question that in the near future you're going to have to build an AR strategy. You're just going to need to be a part of that business model. Now there are things like Shopify has an app like I don't know, is it Artisize art I don't not
Artize, I guess, or
yeah,
ARtize.
AR ties, yeah, something like that allows you to like build these custom AR integrations. So they're going to be tools. There are going to be AI advancements and automations that make this easier for you, and especially as that continues to be more popular. So think about again Meta, right? Theirs is probably the first thing that you think about when you think of an AR tool, right? Or of like a set of AR glasses is the whatever Oculus or whatever they bought. Um, that's the first thing that you think of. So of course they're going to want to make sure that that product is robust because it gives you an advertising opportunity, and it's going to allow them to profit off your ability to profit. So know that that's going to continue to be something that grows a lot. Now, I do think it's important. Like, obviously, you want to start this process with your higher ticket options, right? You don't want to sell your like little single like trellis thing, right? Like that's probably not really the reason to introduce an AR strategy. But the higher ticket things, the things that you're going to like spend a lot more on, if you're able to see what that looks like in your space, maybe it's artwork. Um, like if you can see what that actually looks like in your space, then you're going to be able to drive those conversions. And the second thing is if you do have products that have sizing concerns, so particularly if you've gotten reviews that maybe it's not quite true to size, being able to see that product like in its space or on your person, that kind of thing, can be extremely valuable. So start with those things as it comes to AR. Jay, what are your thoughts around advancements in shopping in AR?
You took my thought right
Oh man,
there. I
sorry.
mean, we have bought some things that you look at the product description online and you think it's like normal size, and then it comes and it's like 4 inches tall. And but you can see it in your room and make a whole world of difference. And we've
Right.
we've done that with some furniture for my daughter's room. And if she
Mm.
was 2 foot tall, it would have been great. And most recently, we bought a game for some friends,
Yeah.
and it was half the size you thought it would have been based on
Oh,
it. So we ended up having to return it and get another one. So by doing so, you're going to cut down on returns
right.
and keep things moving in the right direction. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely an important thing to do. And so know that that is, I mean, there's no question that that's going to continue to be more popular because of exactly those reasons, right? Because it does improve conversion and it does reduce returns. And those two things are like can't beat those. Like those are great things to have happen.
But
And
getting
our
back to the
final,
conversation earlier, though, I would love to be able to see how we could do a wine tasting.
oh yeah, there's going to be some really interesting.
Got to be some way to do it.
I'm I'll be watching the news for those types of integrations,
Yeah,
the like smell integration or whatever it is that hits your tasting notes just
the
right.
census, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly.
right. So I don't know that that's coming in 2025, but there's no question in my mind that it'll come eventually. Somebody will figure that out. It's like
We'll
the
shoot for
four-dimensional
26
movies
then.
or whatever. Yeah, maybe 26, maybe 20. The way technology keeps changing, maybe so.
For sure.
Um, our final trend that you want to be on the watch out for as we head into 2025 is omni-channel integration. And so it's important to have a just as easy of a checkout experience across all of your different channels, be that different marketplace platforms, or even if you were like in a shop. That's the way that you inspire customer loyalty and bring people back is through a really easy checkout process, and that's true. Not just the checkout process, but just the experience altogether. Um, so one of the ways that you can do that, right? Again, it depends on the size of your business, right? You can allow people to buy stuff online and return in the store, or buy stuff online and pick it up in a store. Like those types of things would be options. Now, that's not going to be available for every e-commerce seller, right? But there definitely are some situations where you could, and then obviously making sure that your platforms are syncing inventory information across all of your channels. Like that becomes really important because you definitely don't want to sell all of your inventory on Shopify, but on BigCommerce you're like still selling stuff, but it's sold out,
Yeah,
and you
that's
can't
really,
fulfill it.
really important to do that.
Right.
But yeah, my 2 cents here. Target does a great job of that. You go on
Right.
their app, you can pick it up or have it delivered. And if
Right.
it's not in your store, you can add it to your shopping cart to have it shipped.
Yep.
And and then if you need to do a return, click the button and you could drive up or you can go in either way. So
Yeah.
they've really done a great job on their app to take that to the next level.
Yep. So steal it from them. No, uh, just know that there's a reason that like people continue to do that with Target, right? Like it
Yeah.
does. Like my wife does this all the time, where we bought like some candy mix or something, and so she'll just buy it. It'll be there. She'll be like, "Hey, can you go pick this up?" And it's a super easy process. And so that that experience and the positivity around that experience is really what's important. And so that's the thing to think about is that you want your experience to be the same, whether you're checking out on your main website platform, whether it's your Amazon page, your product page on Amazon, or whatever it is. You want them all to be connected and working great. So be thoughtful about that, and make sure again that all of the information and data lines up so that you don't have to cause people extra stress just because they went somewhere else. Any other thoughts on omni-channel stuff, Jay?
No, just implement it.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Just implement it.
Yeah, and so again, there these are the five things that we're highlighting today. These aren't the only things that are happening in 2025, but they're the ones that I'm sure that we'll continue to talk about more on the show, especially as companies continue to introduce other ways to make this happen. So keep in mind that's hyper personalization. There's no question that that's going to continue to be something that's extremely important in 2025 and beyond. AI and automation, same thing. They're just going to keep getting better. There's going to be cooler tools out there that make your life easier. You need to take advantage of those. You need to be considering sustainability because an eco-friendly product and an eco-friendly like overall environment and ecosystem is going to be important for us all for going forward. Don't forget to think about AR and how you can implement an AR strategy, and then of course make sure your omni-channel integrations are working properly. Thank you so much for listening to us talk about these things. Stay watching so you can hear how right we were all year long. And then, of course,
and a year from now, we're going to pull this video back up and see exactly how right we were. So,
yep, and
yes,
and we're going to use all these AI automations and tools to probably make it like a super cheesy little like lead in. That's my hope, Jay. I can't wait for that. The like clip of me saying something that's like completely ridiculous and just being like, "Can you believe that? A year ago,
yes.
this is what I thought." And this is what actually happened. Holy smokes, what a mistake! But my guess is that that's not going to be the case. My guess is that we weren't going to have thought big enough because some of these changes are going to be even bigger than we're thinking they'll be today.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then, of course, if you need ideas, if you want to talk to somebody who loves automation, loves using AI and figuring that out, Jay and I are here, and that's exactly what we do all the time. We want to make your life easy, especially as it comes to accounting and cash flow management and planning and everything that goes along with that. So make sure to reach out to us at HighRock so that we can have those conversations. Before we go, Jay, obviously the Christmas season starts between now and next Friday, so so it's holiday go time. Any holiday plans, Jay?
Don't know if I could say holiday plans this weekend. My Jeep Wrangler 4xe is going in to get its recall service, so I can start charging my battery again. Speaking of eco-friendly,
there you go.
Yeah, and I have to park it in the garage, take my top off, and really enjoy my Jeep for what it's worth. Other than that, it's just getting ready for the big holiday coming up next week.
Yeah,
and looking forward to that.
Yeah, that's what we'll be doing. Although I think if I understand correctly, we're celebrating different holidays, Jay. Are we? Are you a Christmas guy, a Hanukkah guy? Do you do both?
We do both.
Really talk about it. You do both. Let's go.
Yeah, and now that Hanukkah starts on the first day of the first night of Hanukkah is on Christmas, it's actually Chrismukkah. So yeah,
Chrismukkah. Let's go.
Chrismukkah, yeah.
Well, that's fantastic. I'm looking forward to checking in with you along the way here because I don't have a lot of Hanukkah experiences, but I'm definitely interested in learning. Yeah, I'm interested in learning how that works. So everyone out there, have a great Super Saturday tomorrow. I hope you saw all of that last inventory that you really wanted to get rid of, and then a Merry Christmas thereafter, and that evening a Happy Hanukkah. Yeah. So enjoy your holidays. Do what you can to spend it with the people that you care about, because those are the things that really matter. That's what I love about the holidays, is being able to share memories with the people that I love, and I'm hopeful that you get that opportunity as well. And then I think we're going to be back here next Friday, so look out for us again to talk about whatever we're talking about next week. It'll probably include AI. It'll probably include automation, and it'll definitely include e-commerce. So thank you for watching and listening today. We'll see you in the next one.
Merry Christmas, everybody. See y'all.
Bye.